What's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com. Coming back to you with another video with my main man, Brandon.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? You can find me over at Retro Junk 1987.
So today we're going to be talking about pretty much what toys not to buy.
The toys you want to avoid.
You do not want to buy these toys because if you do buy them, either A, they'll sell, but you're not going to make much money, or B, they won't sell.
That's right. You'll be sitting on them for a while. And I will say there's always an exception. So for instance, what's one thing in the 90s that everyone bought tons of and they thought they'd eventually make a gold mine off of? And the answer is Beanie Babies.
Okay, yeah.
So I remember even when I was younger, we'd show up as soon as stores got their shipments to get certain Beanie Babies, and my mom would bring us to the McDonald's drive-thru before school because they had the mini Beanie Babies, and you wanted the whole set, and you would keep them all little tag protectors and all sorts of stuff.
Remember they used to have like those little glass cases where, like, you know, you put the baseballs in it, but they were a little bigger, obviously.
The cubes, yep. Yeah, so now they hold pretty much no value.
There's not even any rare ones?
There is an exception to the rule. There is the original, I want to say like 12 bears, and a couple other random ones. You can tell by the tag. There's a couple, if you Google it, you'll see different tag styles. The ones with the original tags in good condition can still do okay, but overall I would say avoid them. I've set up at flea markets and had just bins of them. And if anything, little kids will buy them. I'll be like, okay, give me a quarter.
And you can find lots of them on like Craigslist or OfferUp, like hundreds. People will sell them dirt cheap, and there's a reason for it because
they'll literally sit in your attic.
Kind of like baseball cards, right? Like if you find baseball cards from like the 80s and 90s.
That's another one that
you'll see them at like Goodwill and stuff, like bins and bins and bins. And I used to look through them all. There's always, here's the thing, there's always an exception to the rule for any niche, for any product.
Exactly.
But in general, you kind of want to stay away from certain things where like you're only going to find like a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. Going back to the baseball cards, anything from like the 80s on, they mass produced way too many, millions of these cards.
Unless you get like a rookie card of like somebody
you
super
get
rare.
You get a good Michael Jordan or a good Derek Jeter rookie.
Yeah.
And that's not, don't go out buying every Michael Jordan card you find or every Derek Jeter. It's certain ones, like the first one that they made for each of those guys, you can score on. But honestly, to go through tens of thousands of cards to find just one of those is not worth your time.
Here's a little tip, actually. If you're going to be messing with like baseball cards from like even like the 70s, 80s, 90s, look for the ones that are in really thick protector cases, like the thick ones, like not the little thin.
A lot of time that is a good idea, yeah.
Because those are being protected for a reason.
Yep, the ones that have like the screws in the corners.
Yes, exactly. So those are a couple items to stay away from. Again, it's just a general rule of thumb. What other toys would you say, because there's hundreds, there's thousands of toys out there, what are some toys where you'd say stay away from that category, stay away from that type of product?
Personally, I stay away from newer, like current Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. A lot of people are like, oh, Hot Wheels, they're super collectible. Yeah, but you can get them from 87 cents to $1 at Walmart. And once again,
like crazy.
Mass produced. And the exception to that is Hot Wheels puts out something called treasure hunts, which is a certain number of cars in the line that they only made a certain number of. And you have to look very hard at each car because it's a little symbol that's marked on the car itself.
Yeah.
But overall, those Hot Wheels are not going to do much for you because you can literally still go to the store and buy them for $1.
But what if, and we were just talking about garage sales behind the scenes, we were watching a bunch of Gary Vaynerchuk, Trash Talk, whatever it's called, and what about lotting up like 50 or 100, because he was finding like lots of, like he had found like a bunch of Thomas.
He did.
What about lots of Hot Wheels? Like even if they're current, like 100 or 150, can you sell those on a lot on eBay? Like
the problem you run into then is think about the weight that adds up. If you have 100 Hot Wheels
even
cars.
it sells for $35.
If you're including shipping in that price, you're not making much because they get very heavy if you're going volume wise.
Okay,
and this is just personal experience. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people like to buy the Hot Wheels cars, but just from my personal experiences, it's once again not worth my time to go about something like that.
What other toys would you say?
If we're going older, the problem a lot of people make is, oh, I've had this for years. It has to be worth money. Like, it's vintage. And one thing that I don't agree with is Cabbage Patch dolls.
Oh. I see some of them that sell really well.
Once again, like I said, there's always an exception
to the rule.
But it's just one of those things that I avoid. Like, I'll put out my want ads on Facebook or whatever, and I'll get endless messages. Oh, do you want Beanie Babies? Do you want Cabbage Patch dolls? And for the most part, I avoid them because, once again, they sit because there's so many out there, and there's only a select few that actually sell for decent money, at least. Once again, they're a nostalgic thing, so people be like, oh, I had that as a kid. I want that. But overall, I've realized that they either take a long time to sell or they don't sell at all.
And I want to ask the people who are watching right now who are, currently buying and selling toys, share one toy that you would say to people in the comments, do not buy. I want to know.
Yeah.
We're naming a few.
It's all about sharing that knowledge.
Yeah.
And I will drop one more that some people might get mad at me for, because I know, once again, it's something that almost everyone collected in their childhood.
Okay.
And that would be Happy Meal toys.
That's so funny. I was just going to ask you about that.
Not just from McDonald's, so not just Happy Meal toys, but like restaurant toys in general. McDonald's, Burger King, whatever restaurant you got them from. Now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I know what you're going to say.
I hear people always saying, like, you should pick those things up.
The only ones that do well are the older vintage lines, and if you have a complete set of them.
Okay.
Like, I remember back when I was a kid, they had the little ones that transform. Those are great. And even if you have 2 or 3 of them, they'll sell okay. And there was also like the little McNugget buddies, which are like little chicken nuggets in different costumes. Those sell well. Once again, if you have the complete set, you're going to do the best. But overall, if we're talking as a whole, I avoid all the Happy Meal toys, especially more recent ones. They're cheaply made, and they're just not worth it.
Let me throw a couple at you. Barbies.
Ooh, that's another good one, because I'm pretty sure you guys went over a couple of them in your guide, too.
Yeah. But in general, we're talking like generalization. We're not saying, again, I'm going to clarify this one more time, because people are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Like,
oh, I know we're going to get those comments.
This is a general rule of thumb. We're pretty much talking like 95%.
Correct. Because there's always
So Barbie, for the most part?
Almost every toy line will have that hidden gem. Barbies, people look for vintage.
And in good condition.
Vintage and condition are huge. Now, if you have vintage but bad condition, if you lot them up, you'll still do well. I had a listing somewhat recently. It was 11 or 12 1960s Barbies. Some of them had like staining on an arm or a leg, or the back of the neck was ripped, and people still bought them because there are people that use them for parts and stuff like that, and they'll rehab them or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. What about off-brand Lego?
Hate them.
Do any of them sell?
Mega Blocks, all that. I've had nothing but
so
bad luck with them.
So you pass on all that stuff.
Correct.
Because you'll go to garage sales and find just loads.
Even Lego, but like Duplo, I'll pass on them if it's like a lot. If it's a complete in-box set or a brand new in-box set, then there's still money to be made there. But if it's off-brand, especially people who are like Lego collectors, they will not touch it. So the things like Mega Blocks and stuff like that. Once again, if you're buying brand new sealed stuff, it does well. But if there's a loose bucket of Mega Blocks and a loose bucket of Legos, buy the Legos, leave the Mega Blocks. That's my personal opinion.
What's one of the worst like buys you've ever purchased? Like one of the, like maybe when you were first getting started, can you think of anything that you used to buy and then you stopped buying them?
It kind of falls into the toys. It's more the video game realm. But I found a large Rubbermaid bin of old, I believe it was original PlayStation games. And the guy wanted nothing for it.
Yeah.
So I bought it. Unfortunately, I didn't really go through it well, and it was mostly sports titles.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something I would avoid too. It kind of falls under the toy category, but video games, the thing with sports games they go out of date almost immediately because rosters are constantly changing and teams are changing, and people want what's current.
Yeah.
That's why you'll see Madden games at Savers, and they're just on the shelves, like 20 of the same game.
You know what's crazy? It made me think of this when I went to a garage sale one time. Here's the tip: if you ever find like a whole bunch of games in like a tote, like sometimes you could buy 50 or 100.
Yep.
Open all the cases. One time I bought this huge
I've done this too.
bin. It had DVDs, video games, and it was like $5, and it was like probably 150 of them in there. I was like, jackpot. I brought it home. Every single case was empty.
Oh.
I didn't check.
I've never done it with the whole case was empty,
check.
but I've had where like half, and yeah. I don't want to say a good thing, but the bright side of that is sometimes you'll find the old CD cases where people would toss the cases and then fill it with loose games. Then you at least have empty cases to put those games in. That's if you want to still kind of make your money back.
And if you find the right titles, you can sell the case if it has the cover work and then the manual inside.
100%.
You can sell those for 7, 8, 10, 15. Sometimes you find some like rare games.
Oh yeah,
collectors are looking to complete.
I've had games where the like older Super Nintendo and where the boxes and manuals are worth more than the game itself.
Yeah.
Because what did you do? You ripped it open and threw it out when you were a kid, and you just wanted the game. So for collectors that want to complete it, they'll pay up.
What's that video game system built where it's got the cartridges? It's old. You'll find it. It's like the 32-bit or whatever.
Sega?
No,
Genesis?
It's older than that. It's like
Atari?
super old. Yeah, Atari.
Atari and a television.
Do you buy? Would you recommend to the people watching to buy Atari?
I'll buy Atari.
I see them all over the place.
I'll buy it in lots. I'll buy if there's like a system with games. Once again, that's a little before my time, so I'm not as knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But there are games.
What era was that from? Is that from the 80s?
70s. Atari, yeah.
Wow. that was kind of like the first system, right?
One of them, yeah. There are hidden gems for games. And for instance, when I first was getting into reselling, tag sale in East Hartford, a guy once again had a full bin of Atari and television games, and they were almost all sealed, brand new.
What?
Yeah, I paid $50 for the bin.
Atari sealed?
Yep.
Like never opened?
Completely sealed, original shrink wrap. Some had the price tag still on them. Was that a jackpot? It was a jackpot. I paid $50 for the bin. There was one random obscure, some World Series baseball game that, once again, it's a sports title, so you wouldn't think it was anything special.
You're like, oh, this is nothing.
I want to say it was like $600 just for that one game.
Did you sell it?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
That was when I first started on. That was one of my first eBay sales.
I asked you because you're a collector, so a lot of times like he'll find really cool items and like he'll just.
Yeah, once again, that's before my time, so I knew there was money to be made, and that was literally one of my first eBay sales was from that bin of games.
Cool. Well, hopefully you guys found value in this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out his YouTube channel, which is
Retro Junk 1987, and also the same goes for Instagram. I'm very active, and I like to interact with my followers and whatnot, so
cool.
Check it out.
Well, appreciate you being here. If you guys want to learn more about toys, I'll link up some videos that we had recorded previously down below in the description, and also be sure to check out our toy guide as well. You can check that out, Toy Brand Profits, in the description if you want to learn 47 hot selling toys you could sell on eBay. Definitely a great guide to go out and find stuff. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.